First of all, hello, Justin Segal. There's a screen over there that's very important, and there's me that's less important. But you can look at whichever one you want. I'm going to introduce this metaphor of a self-driving car, which was the title of the presentation, and in particular talk about what a self-driving car is not. Right? It's not the Jetsons. It's not a transformer that turns into a robot or a car that drives underwater. It's certainly not a very prestigious, good-looking car from 15 years ago that was the top of technology but is not anymore. And it's also not yet, anyway, something like Waymo, which is not available for consumers. It's geo-fenced. It has a central control system. The closest that we kind of have right now are cars like this, right, that have some level of self-driving and are not fully unsupervised self-driving. So we're going to kind of talk about that. And if you think about what it's like to be inside a car like that, like what is the experience, you have a lot of really cool features, right? There's the display that changes and navigation, and there's, knows who you are, and there's sensors all around. There's really a lot going on that the car has available to it. And then we can look at ways that it actually shows up, right? So what are the examples of things that happen, right? Maybe you can drive with no hands, or there's something in the road and it warns you. You get a phone call, the car jams on the brakes, it adjusts the seats and mirrors to you, it tells you, hey, maybe you need some coffee, you've been driving too long, there's something in your blind spot. This list would go on for a really long time, right? We could think of lots and lots of examples of things that happen with those features. What we're really interested in at the end of the day is, what are the outcomes? Right? What happens when you have a car that has these features? And it starts with, okay, fewer accidents, right? And then it's less stressful to drive. It's easier, right? You could be more productive. You don't need as much experience. You can recapture your focus for things that used to be on other things and instead use them to do other stuff. And you reach the destination more often in a better way, right? And if we think about those as outcomes, it makes a big difference, right? If we took the accident rate from 1971 and used that same accident rate today, we would have 106,000 more people dead, right? So there's other reasons for this too, the highways, crumple zones, et cetera. But generally speaking, it's like we've made a huge difference on outcomes. And these outcomes are also, as it turns out, the same exact outcomes that we want in a company, right? If this is your team and your company, they want these outcomes, right? And so a little bit about me and my companies. Boxer Property is our commercial real estate company. We own and manage office buildings and hotels and retail properties around the US. We have a work style company that this is like co-working, flex space, also national portfolio. We spun off a staffing business. We have a software company called Brava. Some of that is what I'm going to be showing today. We have an insurance company doing auto policies. We have a company in India that provides services, and we're in oil and gas. So real estate is kind of one part of what we do, but we run all of these businesses using these principles. So I'm going to show you some examples of things that we have in Boxer, what it's like to be Boxer. This is a very small subset of the things we could be talking about. But the first thing is I want to be able to see anything. So these are interfaces through our software. This one is expiration notices, so things that are expiring in the company. Here's the portfolio and all the different applications we have. I can see drilling into a property. I can look at my own homepage with my tasks and my activities. I can see, what is this one? Lease approvals that are outstanding. Like really anything that we want to see, we can look at very quickly, right? It's like a flexible display. Okay, recurring smart jobs. We have these jobs that we can set up and they run until we tell them to stop, and they have logic and intelligence built into them. This was the very first one we created. It was created in 2016. It's going to run on April 1st, right? 10 years later. For 10 years, this job has been running once a quarter, right? And it just does not stop until we tell it to. And that kind of approach, we have 1,850 jobs that are running. Some of them will create one task for one person. Some of them will create 1,000. Some of them will only go to look up the properties, right? This is how we keep things moving without having to pay attention to everything. We've got a ton of historical data, okay? There's 336 million records that our systems can look at, okay? When we really get into, when we add the logs, like every time something changed, we have 2.4 billion pieces of data that we could look at in our company that are available to AI and to systems. We connect to all different AI platforms and models, right? The first one you can see, AWS, was put in 2018. So we've been on this, hey, let's connect our system to these AI solutions for a long time now. I noticed when I was looking at this, like the most recent one, we connected to Microsoft Foundry's workflows, just last month, right? So this is an active thing. I noticed that we had Google Gemini in there from 2018, and I know Gemini wasn't called Gemini in 2018, so I looked at the log file and found that in 2025, someone changed the name, right? So not only can we connect to all these things, but we have history of what happened to them. We're productive 24 hours a day, okay? This is the distribution by percentage of people in property management in our company. Our company only has offices in the US, right? But you can see we've got 23% of our property management staff in Honduras, 45% in the US, 26% in India, right? So it goes 100% of the day, okay? And you can see this was a little thing that happened where this guy came into this acquisitions deal at 3:47 a.m. and did something. I'll also point out that AI is jumping in here. So this is a deal that came in. It's getting a quality score automatically from AI. It's getting a basic profile from AI. It's getting matched with our strategies, so it understands what kind of deal this might be for us. And it's saying, hey, is this a target for asset services? We have the ability to profile any document, right? So this is an agent that we built. It's connected. It has a bunch of connected agents, and now we can put documents in, and it automatically profiles it. Our use of AI in the company, we're running at about 100,000 uses of AI a month. Okay, we're at about 1.3 million uses so far where AI has activated. Most of this is automatic, right? Where it's not a person deciding to use it. It's jumping in like a new deal shows up and it gets hit with those things. So we can roll these things out in 5 minutes, right? We go, hey, we're going to set up a new AI solution. We're going to pick the provider, right? Who are we running this on? We're going to pick the model. We're going to pick who's going to get it, right? Is this going to go to the construction people, the leasing people, whatever? We can drop in a prompt that connects to our data. And this is like a 5-minute experience to launch AI into our company, into any part of the company, in a way that triggers automatically. So it's not even training the user. So this is kind of the world that we're in, right? There's so many things that I could talk about that happen at Boxer because we have these internal capabilities, right? It's like the self-driving cars. Like we could sit here and talk about all the different things that, that happens with a self-driving car. We can do this with a company that is equipped with these kinds of capabilities, right? And again, it really is somewhat exhaustive. So if you think about this and go, okay, this is what we're doing, right? then it's like, how do we get there? So we believe that there are three fundamental things that a company needs. One is data and systems, okay? And we're going to talk about each of these. Two is global talent. And three is artificial intelligence. And we could get into a tremendous amount of detail about any of these, but let me just, call on pop culture a little bit to talk about the standards that we want. So, the shows where Gordon Ramsay runs around the restaurant and yells and screams at people and goes, what are you, how could you serve this? And, we need Gordon Ramsay on our data, right? Like, how dare you let this into the company, right? What are you thinking? We're going to be, that we need that kind of energy about our data. Is anybody old enough to remember Bob Geldof, right? It was like, feed the world, right? Like, when we talk about global talent, we need to be like compassionate and connected and understanding that these people are part of our team. Like, this is not some other group somewhere, right? We are connected. And then I grabbed this picture of the McDonald brothers from that movie Founder. Has anyone seen that? It's really awesome if you haven't. When we talk about AI, right, those guys were fanatical about like the system for building a burger. Like, how do you run a restaurant, right? It's not just like, oh yeah, there's a chef back there. Like, these guys were on it, right? And maybe it didn't turn out so well for them, okay? But, but when we talk about AI, it's not like, oh, we have AI or we're using AI. It's like, we need to be really doing it effectively. So how do we get there, right? If I talk about cars, we know that it didn't happen magically, right? But it actually was quite complex, right? So this is a list of features. It's almost intentional that you can't read them. It's like too small. But the beginning of the line is when it first showed up, and the end of the line is when it became mainstream, right? So we can take this very complicated thing that we understood took 100+ years to go from the first cars to our cars and say, look, there's this period of innovation, and then the thing becomes mainstream. And if we can simplify it a little more and go like, okay, there was connectivity, and then there was like sensors, and then we had partial automation. And so if I show you this, it's a lot simpler of something that we understand to be very complex. And furthermore, I could start kind of saying, hey, like, here are some examples of things, right? And so if I show you this, and I say, this is the progression to get to self-driving cars, and this is all I show you, you recognize that we're losing a lot of fidelity of detail, okay? Well, when we talk about global staffing, it's the same thing. It's like you got your domestic team, and then you try an accounting company, and then you get some freelancers and some, there are these things that happen where eventually, if you do it right, you have a truly integrated international team that is doing things that are very valuable and that you couldn't do otherwise. Same with data. You start with a basic data dictionary, and then you have a taxonomy, and then you're integrating, and you've got apps and these things, and eventually you get to automatic data operations. And there's a lot more detail behind these things. Same with AI. It's like, hey, we got ChatGPT. We took a prompt engineering class, right? We're doing single shot. We're doing enterprise prompt management. We're agents. The agents are connecting. We're automating the start. We can make it do other things. And eventually you kind of get there, right? And if it was like, hey, I got a speedometer and I got a cruise control module, you would still not have that. This is a massively reductive version, okay? So what we recommend is starting with global talent creates capacity that you can use to invest in data and systems, and having good data and systems allows you to make the most out of artificial intelligence, and this is a progression that works. So when we did it, we took all our people and processes, we connected them with Brava systems to our company data, and to multiple AI platforms and models, and we started rolling out basic AI. And these are like the first things that you do, and our job was to make it so that everybody in the company had them, right? Then we started doing much more advanced things. And the ability to do these things kind of progressed over time. We started with like the most basic applications, right? Not even AI. And then over time, we added more applications, but then they started becoming AI enabled. So it'd be like, hey, here's an application tracking our ontology, and here's one managing loans, and here's one that does CRM. But then you start getting into like deal profiling, which is AI driven, or lease language writing, or marketing content generation, right? And these are the things that we can roll out very quickly today that we couldn't before. And what happens is they're connected to the data, and you've got the people, and the people can use these things. And it's really become integrated into every aspect of our company now. So there's some new stuff coming, okay? This is a big deal in my world. The new stuff is a series of tools or agents or servers. The first one is Insight, okay? And it turns vague questions into essentially pseudocode. The next one is Understanding, okay, which maps these questions to your actual data. Like it gives you the joins and the schemas and everything. Then there's a search agent that goes out and finds that stuff. And then there's an action agent that can do things. They can actually create records, change records, that kind of stuff. And so if we take that stuff and say, here's a user, they can hit these individually, right? And then the next thing we did is we made them into an agentic flow, right? So we're connecting them all together. Then we said, hey, we don't want it to be just users, right? We want it to be this like, we don't want it to be just a flow. We want it to be connected like a swarm, right? Autonomously going back and forth, interacting with each other. And we don't want it to just be users. We want to be able to start this in 20 different ways. And we want it to be able to output into 20 different places. So if we think about this just kind of generically, we said, hey, we need a front end. We need a face for this. Okay, so we added this general agent, and then sometimes things are too complicated, so we need a planning and orchestration layer. Okay, so some of this is happening now. Some of this is in beta. We're working with Brava on this. So then it's like, hey, we need domain experts. Okay, so we figured out a way to make experts on specific topics. And then, of course, security, logging, permissions, all of that. So if we take these things and go, look, this is like the closest thing to AGI, right? Artificial general intelligence for real estate that I've seen, right? If we take that, we can connect it to our data again, right? We can give it an interface, and we can have that general agent show up in lots of different places. So now people, as they're going about their work, can ask essentially generic questions and have the system understand what they're asking, where to find the data, and respond to it or do things. We still have all that other, kind of detailed things. And this is what it looks like. So this is kind of the front end. I only have a couple of minutes left here, so I'm not doing a demo of this. You can contact me after if you want. But when we look at this, I'm going to now say what we don't want to do, because I have like 3 minutes left. We want to avoid unchecked proliferation of AI in a company. Those are tribbles from Star Trek, right? Probably Robert remembers. We want to avoid the hype cycle. I don't want to hear another conversation about like, ooh, did you try this new thing? It's like, they're like Beanie Babies. We don't want to institutionalize or balkanize a bunch of different AI in a company. Avoid false value. This is like a thing, hyping asbestos, right? Like, hey, this is going to be awesome. We're going to deploy Claude agents everywhere. Careful. Technical lock-in and also performative stuff. And I could talk at length about any of these. What we do want to do is focus on orchestration. Okay, orchestration and architecture. Don't fill up on bread, right? Like you have these things where it's like, hey, there's this easy stuff that people are getting all excited about, and spending their time and focus on, but it's actually not substantive, right? So not helpful. And this is a little bit of like my kumbaya, this is Pando. This is like the largest living organism in the world. It's a stand of trees, but they're all connected underneath. Okay. And I just want to say, like, be a little spiritual about this. These things are all the same, right? Your data and your team and your front end and your AI, like they're all connected. They're all the same thing. And if we don't think about it that way, we're missing the bigger picture. The payoff, I don't know what to call this. I ripped off the Ikigai image, but like when we have strategy, data, global talent, and AI working all together, we can do some really incredible things. So later, another day, we can talk about the relationship between employees and companies, why architecture is better than features, and how pipelines is the new supply chain. These are all things that are on my mind. But for now, I'll leave it with this, is like, you don't have to go back in time and drive a stick shift. You don't have to have a car with no camera, but you still have to know where you're going. And this is the world that I'm in and I'm really into. So if anybody is interested in having conversations about this stuff or seeing some of the things we're doing, I'm quite easy to find. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me today.